Hey everyone, thanks for joining this video on how to set up your service availability within TimeTap. We're going to cover today how to set up availability for one-on-one appointments. If you offer group-based appointments known as classes in TimeTap, that's a different video in this series and I recommend watching that one. If you offer both classes and one-on-one appointments, then this is a good one to check out. So right now we are looking at our appointments calendar view, and that's going to fill in with appointments that have been booked based on the availability that you've set up. So first we'll cover how to set up that availability, and then we'll talk about actually booking those appointments within that availability. To look at the availability we currently have, if we go to the username dropdown in the top right and click on My Profile, we're going to see that on your profile you've got your service availability listed. So each of your staff have this option underneath their profile views. So right now this staff member has some pretty generic availability, 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. Monday through Friday, pretty plain Jane. If we go and look at the services that are offered on this account under Settings, Services, and Classes, we'll see that this account only has one service that's an hour in duration. So the breakdown of your availability is going to be based on the service that a client is booking. Since this one-on-one consultation service is 1 hour, and if we go back to that availability view, and our availability is from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m., appointment time slots are going to be offered at 8 a.m., 9 a.m., 10 a.m., 11 a.m., etc., all the way up until 4 p.m., which is going to be the last appointment of the day, since 4 p.m. to 5 p.m. is 1 hour, and that's going to be the last time that can fill in to the day that the availability is set up on. So let's take a look at what that looks like from the client point of view. On the client point of view, if we click through, we're going to be able to choose that one-on-one consultation service, and then we can, I'll just choose a day further out in the month, and we'll see the time slots that are being offered, and as mentioned, it's going to be on the hour all the way up until 4 o'clock. So 4 o'clock would be the last appointment offered on that day. Now there's a possibility that you click on a day, say we chose the 8th, and there's time slots that are not open or offered to the client that's booking. For instance, right now we don't see an 8 a.m. time slot. When this happens, the best way to find out why a time slot's not getting offered is to look at your calendar within your back office. So let's take a look at that now. Why, for instance, on February 8th, are we not seeing an 8 a.m. appointment show up for the client? If we go back to the back office view, click into appointments, we'll see on February 8th, we've got an 8 a.m. appointment already booked. So since we already have an appointment booked, that's not going to be offered to the next client coming in to try to book an appointment since that time slot's blocked off. So the next thing we can talk about is actually manipulating or changing those availability dates as time moves on. So you may have a pretty standard schedule Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. to 5 p.m., or you may not. Your schedule may vary month to month, week to week, what have you. We've got a lot of options for how you can manipulate this and change it if you need to. So by clicking on any of the days here, you're going to get to be able to edit that day individually. So maybe I don't work from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. on Mondays, but I take a break at noon for lunch. So I can add a break there, have a morning time slot from 8 to noon, and then an afternoon time slot from 1 to 5, and just save that. Maybe on Tuesdays I start my day at 10 instead of 8, so I can save that and just have my availability from 10 to 5. So you can see how you can make every day different just by clicking on it, editing it, and changing it. Now if you wanted to add a day to this date range, say you wanted to add Saturdays that you're working, we could add a day here, click and include Saturdays for that date range. There's also the possibility that maybe you have this availability from February to February 28th, but starting March 1st, your availability changes. If that's the case, the best option here is going to be to split your date range. So if we come up to the top, we can click Split, choose the day we want to split on, which is March 1st. We'll see we get this little message down below that we're going to have the first date range from February 3rd to February 28th, and a second date range will be created from March 1st through onward. So we'll split that date range. And now I can make changes to March without impacting my February availability. So let's just say in March I stopped taking appointments on Wednesdays. I'm only doing Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, and Friday. That means when the client goes to book, if they look at February, they'll see Wednesday availability, but March they won't. So let's take a look at that now just by previewing the scheduler. As we click through and choose that one-on-one consultation, we'll see again February has those Wednesday dates, but starting in March, no Wednesdays are offered. So that's how you would separate the date ranges and make changes to smaller date ranges that aren't impacting your overall availability. You'll also notice if we wanted to, we could clone the existing date range that has an end date. So maybe we have this March availability, and then we resume back that February availability in April. So I'm just taking Wednesdays off in March. So I could clone that first availability starting in April 1st, and just continuing indefinitely. So it kind of makes it so that in March, I'm skipping Wednesdays, but starting in April again, I've got Wednesdays back on the schedule. So if we went back to the client scheduler and clicked out to April, we'd see Wednesdays come back up. All right. So that handles the split and clone functionality. Hopefully, if that makes sense, if not, reach out to our team and we'd be happy to give more examples as to how you can use that. The real benefit is that you can create different date ranges and manipulate the dates and times that you're available, or the days and times that you're available within those date ranges without impacting your availability during a different date range. The other option you have here from your staff profile view is to change or add a location to when you're available. So I also have a location on this account called Skype. So I take appointments in person at my office, but I also take virtual appointments on Skype. So I can add a location to this date range, choose my Skype location, and then set up days that I'm offering appointments at Skype. So that could be a Saturday, just from 8 to noon, or there we go. And then I'll have Skype during February, but I wouldn't have it during March or April. So that could be a way I could add in that. Or I could change my office availability and assign it to Skype if that's what I'm doing for March. So you can switch the location availability that you're at to a different location. You'll also notice in the locations profile view, if we go into my office, look at location availability, you basically get the inverse view from your staff profile. So while in our staff profile, we saw when the staff was available at locations, the location profile, we're seeing when the location has staff available at it. So you can also come from here, switch to a different staff member. So if I wasn't working at my office during that date range, I could switch it to Jessica Jones, or I could add Jessica Jones as a staff at that location. This isn't so important if you're on one of the solo plans, but if you're on any of the team plans, it's a good way to manipulate your availability for that day. Lastly, if you wanted to just add in a brand new date range, we do have the option to add a new date range down at the bottom of your availability. So if you click that, you can go through and choose any of the options here to add an availability for that staff member or for the office that you're choosing. So if we wanted to add a single day, let's just add a date range actually. We'll say we're going to do it in May through May 31st, on Monday and Tuesday, from 8 to 3, whatever kind of schedule this is. So we'll get a summary that we have a schedule added for Jessica Jones and one for Lucy Barber. And as we save that, if we go back and look, let's just say at Jessica Jones's availability, we'll see that she's now got a date range of availability from May 1st to May 31st. She didn't have any availability set up beforehand. On our profile, we'll see in the service availability that if we scroll down on April 30th, that existing date range ended, and we have the new date range we added for Monday and Tuesday. On June 1st onward, we'd have the date range, a new date range created based on the fact that the April 1st date range continued indefinitely. So that would create this new date range of June 1st onward. If you didn't want that, you could delete it, or you could make changes and have the May 31st date range continue indefinitely. Either one, just go ahead and change it from here. But adding the new date range, I would say, is less desirable than just manipulating the date ranges that you already have on there. And that will make it a little bit easier to keep changes going forward. That's it for this training video. If you've got any questions for us on changing or manipulating your availability, please give us a shout.